Obvious question. Were you surprised that the call would come this soon to get the title shot? Or did you feel like it was obviously the right time for you?
I was surprised that it came as soon as it did, but I was excited with the news, and I knew that I would be able to train and be ready. Every fight I have over the last, even before I signed with the UFC, was, so are you going to fight Ronda Rousey? And it's like, well, I have this other fighter in front of me right now, which is who I'm focusing on. And without getting through them, I won't be able to get to her. So, no, it's not something that I was thinking was going to be right away. But we've already been talking about it, so let's do it.
But how much of a figure was she then, all along up to that point? Was it the ultimate end game to get a fight with her all along?
Having a fight with her means getting to fight for the title, but I don't see that as my end goal. Getting the title, then you need to defend it, and I don't think that she's the only fighter out there to beat. Every fighter presents their own strengths, and I don't want it to feel like I got to the end of the road by fighting her. I want to feel like I know there's still opportunities beyond that.
But was part of the surprise just because there had been so much Misha talk that you also believed that she was next again?
Yeah, I guess I thought for sure there would at least be one more fight because she was supposed to fight Misha, but when they called, it was just kind of, hey, I had this weird feeling as soon as I could hear the voice on the other line. Hey, you sitting down? I'm like, well, no, I'm standing, so let's just talk about it right now. And I figured that's exactly what was coming, and before the call, I always thought, how am I going to feel when that call comes? And I thought I would be so breath taken away. And as soon as you told me, I just thought, awesome, let's do it.
And who was the first person that you then told?
My husband. He was there at the house with me, and I said, I don't know if you got what that phone call was about, but
you're doing the dishes tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
You've won numerous titles. Will this be your biggest fight of your career?
Every fight is the biggest fight. I feel like if you overlook anybody, that's going to be the time you get beat. So every fight I get into, I feel like that's the biggest fight. My pro debut, oh my gosh, this is the biggest fight ever. My first title fight, oh my gosh, this is the biggest fight ever. My first TV bout, oh my gosh, this is the biggest fight ever. And like I said, I don't want to feel like I'm hitting an end of a road here. I want to feel like I'm still climbing a mountain. So is this the biggest fight to date for me? Yes. And I'm hoping to still keep riding that wave.
Have you thought about what the atmosphere might be like, walking into the octagon, and how big the crowd is, how loud the crowd is?
I know it's going to be insane. There's going to be thousands and thousands of people there, and it's going to be a massive stadium and a breathtaking venue, and just the energy of it as a whole is going to be just something unexplainable. But I just really want to focus on staying level-headed and grounded, that this is still the other person facing me, and I want to win, whether it's in the gym or in front of all these people, and it's still just another opponent across from me, and I'm going in there with every intention of winning, and all the people aside, that's what I need to focus on.
How has your background as being the daughter of a preacher, how has that kind of shaped who you are, or has it?
I think that it's a huge part of who I am now. I think a lot of people can get really lost in this world, and that keeps me grounded. I feel like even little things, being raised as a preacher's daughter, you're kind of in everybody's sight. They're always kind of looking at everything you do under a microscope, and you have to deal with a lot of different personalities. You have to deal with a lot of different thoughts and ideas of what everybody else thinks you should be and need to be doing. Having to kind of be involved with people in very real situations. I mean, even and a whole nother way to, we can't tell you how many hospitals I've been to visit people being raised as a preacher's daughter and being able to see, a lot of things that people have to go through, and I think I've been exposed to a lot in life, and dealing with a lot of different situations I think has definitely helped me adapt to dealing with a lot of the expectations that can be felt in this type of a career and things like that. So I think it's been great.
Do you think about, it seems like you got a little emotional, do you think about specific people you've met or something that kind of inspired you?
Well, I am an emotional person. I wear my emotions on my sleeve. There's no doubt about it. Anybody that knows me knows that. But when I think of it as a whole, I think of just everything, my whole career as a whole, people that just support along the way. And not only that, not only people that support me, but maybe people that I've been able to inspire. It's awesome.
Michelle, what have you seen different about Holly here since the news broke? Has she been different in the gym? Has she just been different at all?
I don't think that there's a difference. Holly is a natural born leader, and she's she is serious about training, and it doesn't matter who the opponent is across the, and that's why her fight with Ronda is going to be different from all the other fights that Ronda's had, And no, I don't see a difference. She's just, she trains like a beast. It doesn't matter who it is.
Holly, you mentioned the expectations that are involved with this magnitude of fight. Last week, Ronda Rousey said that as a champion, it's different, and that you might not be ready to handle that. Did you feel that was a slight because you have been a champion in your individual sport?
It really doesn't mean a lot to me. I'm thinking, so she's basically saying if I win, so she's got that thought in her head already. That's awesome. So she's saying with a win that I won't be able to handle it, but I'll tell you what, with a win, I'll be able to handle any of it. Because that just means I won, and that's what I care about. That's just the bottom line.
Holly, you had said that you're not there to last longer than 14 seconds, you're there to win, like you just said, but how do you avoid that first round pitfall that so many of our opponents recently
Everything is if this, then that. I don't want to go into the fight thinking, okay, she's going to come out with this, so then I'm going to throw this, because a fight is unpredictable. That's why people love to watch fights. You don't know what's going to happen. And so I want to go in with kind of an open-ended plan. And be able to adjust along the way. That's one of the biggest things in being a successful fighter, is to be able to adjust along the way. Not panic in situations and be able to fight through them. I always try to visualize if this person was to come into my gym and train with me, it takes that kind of intense energy down a little bit and think, well, if somebody came at me like that and in practice, yeah, I would get them, It's like,
Yeah, show 'em what's up,
exactly. Yeah.
She's been seriously training as a boxer for about 5 years, and she really wants to outbox you. She's mentioned it repeatedly. As somebody who's been training boxing for half her life, is that even possible?
I don't know how much she really wants to box or how much she likes to say it. I mean, there's always mind games and little psychology things people try to do. Do I feel like she's improved a lot in her boxing? Absolutely. She has 3 knockouts. One from a knee, so that's not necessarily boxing, but it's from striking. The other 2 from, overhand rights, basically. And I feel like, yes, she's proven a lot, but every fight is different, and anybody has their go-tos. So even if she wants to box and then wants to go back to her, fall back to her natural habits of what you can always change back to what's comfortable. So whether she says she wants to box or not, I just expect her to come hard with any of it.
Since you switched over to MMA, what's your impression in general of boxing and MMA, both in women's division, Ronda, and just overall? Is there anybody in MMA who could have a significant career as a boxer like you have?
Absolutely. I think that anybody that puts their mind to it can do it. So I'd actually like to see it. I love women's boxing, and I love that people are still really passionate about it. I think it's neat to see the crossover. I kind of want to wait, and my goal is to be a champion in both first, because nobody's done that yet, so I hope everybody holds on for a little while.
Stylistically, do you feel a benefit in going into the championship rounds? Obviously, you have to be prepared for 125, but do you think that's going to tilt in your favor because Rousey hasn't had that experience yet?
I've been in deep waters in a fight before, and I feel like it's, with any time that you're there does give a ring experience for that. There's a different kind of feel when you're in those late rounds. It's not just physically exhausting, but mentally exhausting. When you get to those late rounds, I always say it's so easy to just be like, oh, I'm so sick of thinking about it, and you just start throwing bombs at each other. And how many times have you guys seen that in a fight? The 4th and 5th round, people just start, fighters are just, yeah, they've lost all focus, you know? And I think that's the hardest part, is to stay focused.
What kind of confidence are you receiving from your trainers who have basically seen everything in the sport? What are they saying to you, and do you feel a lot more confident after being
Our
through the
trainers are
camp?
awesome
Yeah.
about that, and their confidence in me gives me confidence. Going into the gym, and they have been around so many big fights, and they're still serious with you. This is a threat here, this is a threat here, this is a threat here. Today you did this wrong, today you did this wrong. You kind of did this right, but you also did this wrong. And I'm glad. I don't want them to sugarcoat anything. If I went to the gym every day and they said, oh, good job today, is that going to get me a win? No. And I love that they're very level-headed and very, you can do this, and very confident in me, but they also want to make sure that they're helping me to really prepare. And to be a good trainer is to be able to do that. I always laugh when I'm watching a fight. I don't laugh, but I just actually feel really bad when I watch a fight and I see a corner where the fighter is clearly losing. They go, oh, good round, and I'm thinking, what? That isn't gonna help him win. What are you doing?
What were you watching?
Yeah. Like, I'm thinking, don't tell me I'm winning if I'm not winning. I need to know. Maybe I don't really know. Maybe it's a close round, but tell me. There's been times I've sat down and I go, I lost that round, huh? It was a close one. And I'm like, all right, I'll take that as a loss in the round, because that means I need to just do more.
Yeah.
I think like there's skepticism even from you, what you said about Ronda. Is she really going to make this a boxing match? From looking at the way you'd approach this fight, why would you want to engage in a true like MMA fight with Ronda Rousey? Why wouldn't you do everything you can to make it a stand-up fight?
Yeah, but do I want to go in and say, hey, I'm going to go in and try and grab you and hip toss you because I've been working on that? Like, why would I want to do what she is best at? However, okay, so I don't necessarily want to go out of my way for that. But I know that I have confidence in my training to be okay in those situations if they arise. You don't want to go in and then, oh my gosh, I'm in the clinch, and then just freeze. I have confidence in my training and confidence in being able to deal with those situations, but I'm not necessarily going out of my way to put myself there.
Is the biggest adjustment going from boxing to MMA? I mean, you talked about the adjustments that you make during a fight. Those adjustments seem so rapid when you're talking about MMA fighting versus boxing. Was that the biggest nut to crack, so to speak, as you made this transition?
There's a lot of things that are different. The range you have with the fighter is different.
Mm-hmm.
You have to watch out. What I love about kickboxing and MMA is there's more weapons. You get to use your legs. There's clinch, there's knees, there's elbows. But then on the flip side of that coin, you have to watch out for their key kicks, their knees, their elbows. Boxing, you can kind of focus more on just the punching with that. I mean, it's not that simple. There's a lot of footwork and angles that come with that, but there it is a rapid type of fighting with MMA. I mean, as long as you're not one of those wrestlers that just lays on someone. I mean, that's not necessarily a real rapid fight. But I guess with a fight, you can make it whatever you want.
Speaking of wrestlers, Michelle, fighting Tecia Torres.
Mhm.
She knows a thing or two about working the ground. So how do you see your fight going, at least just first and foremost stylistically? Obviously, you're the striker.
I actually think that that's her forte is striking, and so I think we both kind of match up evenly in the striking area. And I mean, just looking at her record, you know, that's what I see is like her taking all her fights to decision and being able to like pull off the wins with her speed and her quickness and her explosiveness. But I do feel that I take the edge on the ground. I think that I'm able to see the opportunities more than she is, and so I think that's why I'll be able to capitalize.
And how satisfying was it to get the first fight out of the way? You know, the jitters, how real was it for you? How big a deal was that?
I think it was just like a sigh of relief, because you know, I've been fighting for a while, and just to have it kind of come full circle and be in the UFC and to say that like I'm a part of this wave that's happening with the women's MMA is nice.
Well, I don't remember, was Angela mouthy to you? I mean, I know she has a way of being that way with some people, and I'm trying to remember if she was at all to you, because I know for some people that adds to the satisfaction when you get to shut somebody down. That's, you know.
You know, if she was, I think she might have tried to a little bit on social media, but I was too busy training and taking care of my daughter to even notice if she was. The biggest thing was her not shaking my hand at the weigh-ins, and then I was like, all right. So I kind of made her shake my hand at the end.
And how do you think that those women are doing? You know, certainly a lot of them came from the show, and now you're fighting another one who was on the show. Do you feel that that experience was advantageous for them, or do you feel that it was okay for you to not have gone through that process, but to then still step in?
I am glad that I wasn't on the show. I've kind of had the opportunity to experience like the reality TV, but I think each one of those girls probably took away something different from it, and I think that the pressure that Tecia was under and the amount of bullying I think that was happening to her, I think it was beneficial to her because it made her tougher, gave her tough skin.
Do you know, speaking of that, do you think that you as female fighters, do you think that you get more negativity online and social media, or do you feel that it's equivalent to what the guys get?
I think sometimes some people bring it onto themselves more than others, you know, and it really depends on how well you take it or how, you know, some people like to hash it out. You got to learn how to take it if you can if you want to hash it out, and I think there's just like a fine line to play with the social media and understanding how you want to be perceived in the public eye.
You feel the same way?
Yeah, I think you can get as involved with it as you want. I mean, I think a lot of times people on social media they're brainstorming all day on the most ridiculous thing that they can say to be the one that gets the response. And I'm thinking, that's the last thing I'm gonna do is give someone a response. Like they thought all day. I'm like, I'm not even gonna give them that satisfaction. On the other side of it, as far as like women versus men, I think that it's all across the board. They all receive it, whether it's men or women. Maybe because there's less female fighters than male. Maybe it seems like it's more because there's less of us. But I think it's across the board. It doesn't matter. I feel like, you know what? If they're talking about you, they're the ones at home thinking and watching what you're doing with your life. So it's fine.
But there's times when you start to write back.
No.
But then you erase it because you know better, because you're a smart woman. But at the time, you're like, you know what? Or that's maybe just me. Michelle, for you, you know, you're also on such a huge card. You know, I know she's going to have 70,000 people in the audience, but for sure, UFC 194 is going to be a huge deal too. So for you, how much does that factor into your, you know, excitement about fighting Tecia, and how much you may want to prove a point while you're there, since there will be so many eyes?
I think I just have to take you know, a tip out of Holly's book and just understand that it's a fight. You know, whether it's in the gym or, you know, in a huge arena or at the MGM. I remember being I was fighting the day after McGregor and Mendes, and so I remember sitting up in my room and feeling the hotel vibrate from all the Irish chanting, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. And I was like, is that them? You know? But this time it's not just gonna be the Irish, it's gonna be the Brazilians too, and they're just as rowdy. And so what I heard from everybody that went to that event was all the fighters soaked up that energy, and it just showed in the fight. Every single fight was a fight of the night. Like, you didn't get one boring fight, and I hope to be able to ride that and just soak up the energy and you know, give the crowd what they came to see.
Holly, speaking of the social media, you tweeted after Ronda Rousey's last fight, and that you congratulated her and said the hard work has once again paid off. I guess why did you tweet that? Because obviously you admired that. Something about her.
You know, she is where she is because she's a very hardworking athlete, and I respect that about her. I'm passionate about what I do, and in doing that, I appreciate when other people put their passions into something, and you know, she went in there and she did it.
It's like a mutual respect, right? If we weren't fighting, we'd be friends.
Yeah.
Holly, Ronda has this air of invincibility around her. In your camp, how have you kind of humanized her, and you know, what have you and your coaches done to strategize, you know, capturing the mistakes that she makes, because she's not a perfect fighter, even though that's how she's, you know, elevated to be.
Nobody is the perfect fighter. I mean, people think that, or they say that I've had this extensive, you know, boxing career and this success in boxing career. I could go back to every single one of my fights and be like, I did this wrong here, I did this wrong here, I did this wrong here, and here, and here. And even with every victory, I think about how much better I could have performed and where I didn't capitalize on a certain moment in a fight. And so I 100% know that there isn't a single person out there that is a perfect fighter. So I don't need anybody to tell me she's not perfect. I know she's not perfect. Nobody is. She's been the most dominating fighter, but that doesn't mean that she's not beatable.
There's always been intrigue around you as a prospect and now a contender. How much do you feel your profile has increased since the fight has become official and you're now next in line?
Oh yeah, it's been, I mean, it went from here to here. Just the announcement of the fight, there's no doubt about that. A lot of people think, oh, you know, are you glad because, you know, you're getting attention because of Ronda? And it's like, well, she has brought a lot to the sport, but there's a reason why I'm lined up next with her. It's because I've gotten here. You know, I'm still on my way. I still have things I want to do. I don't ever want to feel like I've arrived. I'm still climbing.
Michelle, what about you? Because you've been around for a long time in the sport, and the UFC is kind of a different monster in terms of the increase in visibility. So how do you roll with those punches?
I think it's just important to remember kind of where you came from, and for me, just thinking back on my martial arts career, and after I got my black belt, and then I started getting into actually like the combative side of it, and realizing how elementary my martial arts was, and just being like, gosh, I have so much to learn. And then just now coming back from Thailand, thinking, oh, I'm gonna see how much I've grown and how much better of a fighter I am, and just realizing like I have still so much to learn. Like it's MMA is constantly evolving, and if you ever think that you're on top, then you're gonna soon realize that you're not on top and you're on the bottom, you know, so you always have to grow and evolve and learn.
This is for both of you. Holly, I'll start with you. What's been the biggest challenge that you faced in your career? I mean, whether it's getting sponsorships or being taken seriously as a boxer, I don't know, whatever it is, what do you kind of consider the biggest challenge for you in that?
I guess I look at it in a few different ways. Sometimes my biggest challenges are just my own mindset. I really want to be very confident and believe in myself. And in order to be confident, that comes with a lot of hard work. The hard work makes me confident, but to also know that you're one punch away from a knockout. You're one takedown away from losing a round. You're one. So really, I don't really look at a lot of the details as far as exposure with women's fighting or, you know, sponsorship or money or anything like that. My whole thing, my whole career has been, I'm going to fight for passion and everything else will fall into place. And with passion for this sport comes all those details, you know, just to be completely aware of what can happen in there and know that you're this close to losing and this close to winning, like all at the same time. Anything can happen in there. And with the passion comes victory, and with victory comes sponsorship, new opportunities, open doors, and things like that. So I really just focus on the fight. I don't really think about a lot of that other stuff.
I guess I feel like the biggest obstacle in my career is just having to like justify my career choice for myself, and kind of like that back and forth battle within myself is, you know, are you doing the right thing? Because I am a mother, and, you know, should I be, you know, going after a different career path? Am I making the right choices? Am I being a good role model for my daughter? Just like those for me, it's just like the inner struggle between, you know, what choices I'm doing right. Is my fighting career justifiable for me? And I feel like, you know, getting signed to the UFC kind of really did like solidify me, and like, yes, you are on the right path. You know, you're following your dreams, you're following your passion, and so it's just hard to see sometimes after so long, just, you know, taking one step after another. I think it's important to take a step back and kind of see how far you have come and to take it in that way.
For Holly, same sort of idea. Do you consider yourself a role model for young women? And part two of that is, how do you, with Ronda being the face of women's MMA right now, do you think she's a good role model?
I strive to want to be an inspiration to people, not just little girls or other women. You know, a lot of people look at it that way, like, you're a girl, so how do girls look at you? It's like, I want to inspire anybody. I don't want to be a letdown. I want to inspire people. Ronda, I know she has more of a strong, confident type personality. I think that's good in nowadays. I think that I'm a little different. I carry myself a little differently, but I'm not one to judge how anybody else is carrying themselves. Has Ronda given other girls and guys kind of an eye-opener of, wow, you know, I'm going to be confident in myself and take my life in control and do something with it? She has, and I think that's good.
Holly, can you tell us more about how John Jones has influenced your training, and what specifically I kind of want to know is, he give you any tips as far as like your ground game or how to avoid like a submission from someone like Ronda, and also dealing with a big crowd in a fight in that setting?
You know, one thing about John is I feel like he comes in the gym and he's very kind of calm about training, and always usually has some kind of a joke before or after. And sometimes that alone just helps me realize, like, we're here to have a good time. And there's been times I'm getting ready to do what we call a circle, and my nerves are high, and he's like, have fun, don't you love this? And I'm like, yeah, all right, yeah, I do. And but as far as just his advice and what he's helped me with, I mean, I look to him as an example, because I do like his outlook on training, and so I do want that, more of that. I'm always walking into like worked up about training, you know, and then sometimes he just kind of takes it down to a little more fun level, and I love that. It is fun. What we do is a very fun job, and then on the other side of it, I love that he has a great fighting mindset, and we have 3 of the same coaches, and he's been able to take what those coaches have taught him and make it work for him. So I love to hear his insight, and I love to pick his brain about it. He's come to some of my mid sessions and just watched me and thought, oh, I think this would be good for your type of style. And I'm like, I'm gonna go try it in practice, and sure enough, it's landing, you know. So he's also one of those that a lot of people have talked about John helping me train, but he, you know, he's not at every training session like over. I mean, there's been like here and there along the way, like a little bit of advice here or there, you know, but it's not, he's also not an overbearing person trying to just, you know, everybody has had a lot of input on this training, you know. Sometimes I want to get outside of the cage and be like, you, and you, I don't really care what you have to say, and you can hang out for a while. Everybody has their advice right now, but I definitely take his to heart.
Holly, how do you see yourself emerging victorious at UFC 193? When you visualize your camp and what it's leading to, what's the images that are walking through your head?
Just staying focused each moment. I see myself in the fight. I visualize victory. I think that you have to do that. But I visualize myself in the fight, and just I put myself in this position and see how I'm going to get out of it. And I put myself in this positive place, and I'm doing well, and how I want to capitalize on it. And I just, you know, my mind is all over the place because I want to put myself mentally in every situation that I can be in, so that when the fight comes, that it will just come.
Okay, why don't we take a little break where you can eat?